Everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope y'all had an amazing weekend. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with y'all some stocks to keep on your watch list for this week. We're also going to look at the overall market and discuss what to expect and to get you guys ready as always. Alright, y'all, let's dive right into the charts right off the bat. The futures are currently red. Should you panic? It's a very complicated question, and we're going to look at it. Right now, when I look at the Nasdaq, I'm gonna zoom out. That way I can see the bigger picture. It's struggling around the top. Again, the top was 18,121. We had the CPI on Tuesday, and then we bounced back on Thursday and then Friday, which gave enough time for the Dow Jones to fill that gap at the top right here. And after we filled the gap at the top with the Dow Jones, the market, or I would say the Dow Jones, produces the combination of these two candles right here. For those of you who are new and don't know what this is called a bearish harami. If you go on Google and you look up bearish harami, you will see that specifically after, like you will see this show up after a big uptrend, right? First we got the uptrend and then we got the bearish harami. And right now the futures market are down, so I do expect the Dow Jones to open up below the open of this green candle right here. So below $385, just to take care of the little gap that it took on the left between the 14th and the 15th. And maybe we can go a little bit lower towards 381. All right. So that's my initial thoughts on the Dow Jones and how that corresponds with the Nasdaq. Obviously, most of these indices kind of move together unless there is a rotation of money where money flows from one sector into the other sector, like we've seen it happen from time to time with the overall market. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're just all going to fall a little bit. All right. Now, we're going to zoom into the chart on the 1 hour. And on the 1 hour, I'm seeing, well, it's more like the 30-minute. Yeah. The 30-minute is looking like that. There is a descending triangle right there that just broke down at like, what is this? At 7:30 p.m. All right, so it broke down. All right, the volume isn't that great because obviously we are still overnight. This is not trading hours, but the futures are going. Usually what happens after something like this is a drop towards like 17,400. If it continues to stay here, and if we see a big red candle right out the gates tomorrow that breaks below 17,650, so we might see that drop all the way down to here if we see that kind of opening. So just be on the lookout for that. For those of you who like to trade SPY and QQQ, there's an opportunity on here. The pattern is there. Now, the only tiny worry that I have, which I don't think may matter that much, like, is because it broke down so early. That's the only worry that I have, that it might play some games. But apart from that, it is there. And that's the first thought. What you see here is the first thought that I have when I see this structure. Now, let's look at some stocks for this week. The first one to look at, that stock is reporting earnings in the morning, and that is HD. All right. Now we're going to clean up the charts and we're going to clean up the alerts. Now with HD, it has earnings. We're going to look at the last 4 months, right? We had a big uptrend all the way up towards 370 bucks. We had the gap down from FOMC. And now the gap got filled. The gap got completely filled right here. So this one is really, really tough because there's gaps to fill in both directions. There's some gaps to fill all the way up to 385 from way back here. Right there. This is the gap to fill. There's another one at 400, but we're just going to deal with that 385 first. And then there is the one that it left 3 months ago. Actually, multiple ones. There is another one to fill right here at 330. And then the big one to fill at 300. All right. That might take a long time to get filled. Like we might have to see a major crash. Wait, all of the indices all at once in order to see HD get back down there. All right. So depending on the reaction that we see in the morning, just set your alerts below the pre-market low. Just set your alerts below the pre-market low. If it opens up higher and opens way above 380, I'm going to lean bearish because that gap got to fill first. Like if it opens up at 386, I would expect a candle that looks like that, especially if the indices are selling off aggressively tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. If it doesn't open up that high, let's say it opens up at 370 or 375, do expect a massive move just to take care of that gap first in the first like 30 minutes, right? So the candle will look like this. It's just a matter of, is it going to be a green candle where it opens from 375 and then reaches 385? Or is it going to be a red candle where it opens really high and immediately fades and has an all-day fader? So that's kind of what you got to look out for HD. I'm leaning more towards this because of lows, which moves with HD. On lows, there is two bullish pennants that I'm seeing. There's one right here, a massive one, right? There's also a little one right there which broke out and played out really well, but the one right here is still in play. And there's even a bigger one on the weekly when I zoom out like this, and the stretches from way back here, and it looks like it's trying to break out. So leaning a little bit bullish towards HD kind of makes sense right now because of what I'm seeing with both stocks at once. All right, so that's the first stock to keep on watch. The next one to keep in your watch list for tomorrow, that one is having earnings as well, and that is Walmart. All right, and with Walmart, what we've seen typically especially with the stocks from like the past 2 weeks, if they're really strong and they're creeping towards all-time highs or making all-time highs, the odds of a positive reaction and even a bigger push higher is highly likely. So kind of like what we've seen with Netflix and with Meta, right? So that's kind of what I'm expecting for Walmart. Expect to move up to 180 at least. I think the reaction is going to be positive. And if it is positive and it opened up really high, there's really no like overhead. It's just until we see more struggles at the top and we see the stock rolling over on the 5-minute, I don't know how high it could go. I really don't. But it's all about the reaction, and it's all about the setup that it gives later on that day to give us clues on when to get in and when to get out of a potential trade with Walmart. So that's the second stock to keep on watch. Now, in updates on AMD, we gotta look at it. All right, I shared AMD with you guys because of like two bullish pennants on here. And I also share with you guys my position. If you haven't watched the last video, I'm gonna pin it at the top right corner of this video. All right, I shared with you guys why I took Meta instead of AMD between this day, the 14th and the 15th, right? But initially, they both started out the same way. Initially, they both broke out at the same time. I chose Meta, and then they also both spiked right here. They both spiked and gave a chance for anybody who bought right here, which is the appropriate time to buy, to actually take some money off because the price target was 181. It didn't even get up that high, but at least it gave people a chance to exit right here. And if you look at the previous video, I started selling Meta when it also showed a 1 minute spike, and it got really, really close to 480. It got to 479. My contracts were up big, and I immediately sold. All right, and after that, we saw some fade. Obviously, later on, Meta kept going higher and higher, but not all bullish pennants behave the same. All right, now the stock was generous in giving people 2 chances to either break even or take a little bit of profit. The first chance was right here. And then the second chance was when it retested on Friday right here before the sell-off. All right. Right now, the 4-hour chart is looking a little lumpy, and I'm leaning more bearish than I am bullish. A good bullish pennant is not supposed to roll over like it's not supposed to roll over like that. It's not supposed to get below 175. And I told you guys that on the 14th in that video. All right. Not the last video, the one before that. I told you guys that. It's not supposed to break underneath it. And since it did, and since the daily chart is looking kind of lumpy, and also because the futures market is looking kind of bearish right now, I'm going to have to lean bearish on this one. Expect a fall deep down here towards $165 on AMD because the bullish finish is just getting really, really sloppy. And anybody who got greedy right here, at these highs right there, the lower it gets, the more fearful they will be, and the more stop losses will get triggered, and that will cause an even bigger sell-off. So that's my thoughts on AMD. The last stock that we're gonna look at, yeah, we got time for one more. Last stock that we're going to look at is Apple. And with Apple, last Sunday, I shared my thoughts on Apple when it was at 188. I shared with you guys the head and shoulders after the downtrend. This is a continuation head and shoulders where we have this and then the head and then the right shoulder, and then we test the neckline right there. I also said that it could go down to 175, but that's for another video. This is the other video where I'm telling you that, yeah, if it breaks that neckline, we're going to 175. So watch that one for a drop. That right shoulder is there. And if we break below 180 and we close below 180, a lot of fear is going to kick in and this thing is going to tank. All right. So that's my honest thoughts on all of these stocks. And that is the end of the video. Do not forget to annihilate the like button as always. Again, remember, I make these videos from Sunday to Thursday at exactly 10 p.m. Central Time. So definitely click on that subscribe button and click on that notification bell. That way YouTube notifies you whenever I release these videos. If you'd like to be part of a private Discord community where you can get all of this information in real time as I see them, you can find that as the first link in the description of the video below. Don't forget to follow me on social media at Paul Nguma and the Patternology Lab on Instagram and on X. And lastly, to get some free stocks with Webull, you can use the third link in the description of the video below. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Patternology Lab, where we trade patterns and patterns only. And I will see all of you in tomorrow night's video.